Yeah, as I've noted, Sarah Palin's now chiming in, by the way, that when it comes to Islamist terrorists building the atomic bomb, no problem. When it comes to Jews building houses, oh my God, the biggest foreign policy crisis we've seen in ages. God forbid should the Jews build houses. God forbid. Yeah. So Palin, not on Facebook, but in a statement to Politico on Israel, she is becoming increasingly critical of Obama on foreign policy grounds. She must engage on foreign policy. It's imperative. This is good. We know where she is. She's got to keep doing both. I mean, it's a domestic and foreign policy thing. Look, the President of the United States is the leader of the world. Why? Because we have been the economic and moral engine for the world. Not by choice, but because they forced it on us. Sarah Palin writes, now here's the deal. The so-called Palestinians are terrorists, and they continue to be used as fodder by the terrorists of the Islamist world to attack the Jews. Okay? And Israel is constantly pressured by us now, via Barack Obama, to give up more and more and more and more to the terrorists. Israel announces that they're building some settlements on the West Bank. And they're free to do so. But we hate that. That's just awful. That's going to send a horrible message. Really aggressive talk that I'd love to hear when it comes to, let's say, Iran and the atomic bomb, but we don't. And Israel is an ally. That's right. Up until the establishment of Iraq, Israel was the only democracy in the Middle East. Well, here is what Palin is saying about the ridiculousness of Obama going after Israel and the Jews. She notes the Obama administration reaches out to some of the world's worst regimes in the name of their engagement policy. America and our allies watch as sanctions are eased on Cuba. Letters are written to Iran's mullahs only to see that regime start killing protesters in the streets of Tehran. Envoys are sent to North Korea as they continue to defy the world's demand to give up their nuclear weapons. The Burmese military junta's representative is allowed to travel to our nation's capital. The president's envoy for Sudan talks about giving that genocidal regime gold stars, while the president shakes hands with Venezuela's tyrannical leader. In the midst of all this embracing of enemies, where does the Obama administration choose to escalate a minor incident into a major diplomatic confrontation? With Iran, Cuba, Sudan, North Korea, or Burma? No. With our treasured ally, Israel. In one paragraph, she kind of splays out the ridiculousness of the Obama regime. What does this tell you about who he wants to be close to? Huh? I'm getting closer and closer to wondering if we really elected the enemy. I don't know how that's going to play out, and I don't know what kind of enemy he is. But even Teddy Roosevelt went and nailed the enemy. Barack Obama seems to not want to not only not do that, but embrace the enemy and do what the enemy would love, which is condemning the Jews. Yeah. So after the Israelis announce the construction on the West Bank of some homes, not exactly the equivalent of a nuclear weapon, we've condemned them. Yeah. She writes, now, however, we see the Obama administration has decided to escalate, make unilateral demands of Israel, and threaten the very foundation of the U.S.-Israel relationship. This is quickly leading to the worst crisis in U.S.-Israel relations in decades, and yet this did not have to happen. More importantly, it needs to stop before it spirals out of control. Vice President Biden should rein in the overheated Obama administration rhetoric and chill the political spin masters' fire as they visit the Sunday media shows to criticize Israel. Yeah. She says that Obama should push the reset button on our relations with our ally Israel. Remember, we did that with Russia. Yeah. This is a very good piece. Okay. And it kind of shows you, to say the least, where Obama's heading and what his priorities are: to embrace the enemies of this country and to attack its allies, and particularly the Jews. This man just has no problem being himself, at least. We've got the job now to stop this disaster. We've got to. Absolutely. Of all people, the one country the guy goes after is the country filled with the Jews. Yeah.